I'm Wendy again. I'll be your host for another ADP Coffee Hour session. If this is your first time joining us today, ADP List is a design community that is out to support designers in every way possible. Please go to adplist.org if you're still looking for work. Feel free to contact us if you're looking to get listed on the website. Vice versa, if you're a company looking for candidates, you can list your jobs there as well. Ultimately, we aim to continue providing the platform for people who are passionate in design like you and I. And we're all here together and exchange our design stories, journeys, and thinking. Just look at it as a learning hub, but universal and free. Why not? So we have and will continue to line up more stuff like pretty cool bi-weekly coffee hour sessions. So stay tuned by following us at LinkedIn, where we'll share all the information there. So episode 2 is a little different from the first. This time around, we will be doing a portfolio edition. Our lovely mentors will be playing round robin style in picking you guys like randomly to review your pop live. So if you're ready for that, please follow these 3 very simple instructions. Number 1, raise your hand. And number 2, wait for your name to be called by the mentors. And 3, send in your portfolio to be reviewed. But please do not send in your LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, we'll just have to reject and move on to the next person, okay? So today we have William, Ntim, and Kasey Randall from the US. So William Ntim is a senior UX designer at the Home Depot. He has spent nearly a decade creating, launching design solutions at small to large sized firms, including HostGator, Farouk Systems, Ellie Mae, Cornell University, Zurvita and BoomWriter. So William is a critical thinker with a front-end development background, founder, speaker, as well as a coach. He shared that in his downtime, he enjoys writing and mentoring UX designer, as well as, just practicing UX on a daily basis. So Kasey, on the other hand, is also from US. He's currently a senior interaction designer at Sirius XM. Over the years, Kasey shared that he helped craft and elevate digital products through the transformative power of design and technology. He strives to bring ideas into reality, solve challenging problems, and create delightful, data-informed user experiences with an iterative, human-centered process. Cool. They are our great pair to demonstrate the first portfolio edition, and I'll leave the floor to the both of them. Get started.
All right. Hey. All right. That was a wonderful introduction. Thanks, Wendy. And hey, Kasey, how's it going over there?
Well, dude, it's going well, man. It's going. It's going. That's how we're gonna say that. Yeah. It's a wonderful, crazy time to be alive right now.
I agree. And thank you guys for joining in. Today we're gonna just kind of go through the portfolios and give you guys our tips, what we think, our thoughts, and just feedback. So hopefully it's helpful and we can get something good out of this, right?
All right.
So. Felix, did you already start it or?
Yes. So what is going to happen here is simple. There will be 3 very simple steps where you guys can get your portfolio reviewed by Kasey and William. So I've already seen some people raising up their hands. The first step is, of course, head over to the button right below Zoom that says participants. And for there, you can actually raise your hand virtually. So once you raise your hand, William and Kasey, you guys can take turns to choose any participants. And when you guys choose one of them, do call out their names and ask them to send in their portfolio on the link to the comment section. And when they had sent that, please open up their portfolio, share your screen, and review that portfolio. It's as simple as that. So those of you who want your portfolio to be reviewed, please raise up your hand, and William and Kasey will just randomly choose one of you guys. Raise your hand virtually. I saw Vincent raising his hand physically on the screen. There is actually a virtual hand raising feature. So yeah, William and Kasey, you guys want to take it from here?
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like we have a lot of folks raising their hand, which is really great. And I'm talking about this earlier about maybe him picking one, and then I pick the next one, and we'll pop it off like that.
So just for my Felix and Wendy and Kasey, let me know what you guys think about this. In order to avoid bias, right? Could we just have everybody post? So no chats about anything else, just portfolios in the chat, and everybody could just post your link. So that way we're just looking at URLs and we can just scroll and say, okay, this, that, to avoid bias, right? Because we're looking at people's faces, someone's smiling, someone just quiet, and it's just, I don't want that to influence who we're picking. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So go ahead and paste your URLs. Yeah, just like that. No other chats, just URLs. And then Kasey and I will just go through that and just pick one, at random.
Yes.
So that way it's true random, all right? Free and fair for everyone.
Wow, that is a lot of links coming in. You guys can get started.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, you can start us off, man.
Okay, let me start. So I'm gonna share my screen and then I'll pick one here. Hang on, let me make sure my dog is. All right, so I got where's the chat? That's the other thing with this. Okay, so the first one, give me 1 second, guys.
I'm surprised my dog's being quiet right now. It's like he only starts playing with the squeak toys as soon as I get on a call. Like during the entire normal day, whole work day, I'll be like grinding heads down. As soon as I get on a call, he's like, squeak toy.
I know, right? Oh, wait, I wasn't on mute. Oh, great. Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Anyway, that's fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to scream in y'all's ears. Okay, let's do this. So I picked one, Brian Juan. All right. So I'm gonna dive in. Just gonna go at it. Brutal, and just kind of share our tips and tricks. This is not personal. It's just this is the only way we can grow. And I think an important part of being a UX designer is being able to take feedback. Now, you don't have to implement every feedback we give you, but at least your ability to be receptive to it is going to be an important part of your UX skill. Right, Kasey? What do you think?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, feedback is feedback, right? Like there's a big difference between best practices that we may see that you could implement better versus a opinion about visual style, right? There is a fine balance between figuring out what your story and style is, but also following those best practices as well, finding your own voice, and then making your website accessible and very easily navigable and so on.
Sweet.
Feedback's feedback, yo.
All right, let's dive in. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah? Okay, great. So my first thought on Brian's portfolio is, I love the negative space. I love the white balance, but I don't know if at first glance, there's an excitement factor for me. So I don't know if that just catches my eye and ignites any sort of curiosity to be able to dig deeper or then kind of get in. So that's the first thought. It's like, okay, Brian, one, I'm a designer, I help make digital experiences better. Got an ET. I love that little humor factor of it, but once again, I'm not really kind of whoa, right? That whoa factor. So that's point number one. I love the cleanness of these thumbnails here. Great mock-ups. I love that. It's straight to the point. So it's definitely easy to use, easy to understand. I love that as well. Simple, basic, but not basic in the wrong, in a bad way. Basic in the sense of clear and crystal, clarity when it comes to navigation. I'm gonna try to click on this. And let's see, total wine, cart redesign, okay. And then we have that. It's beautiful mock-ups. Beautiful mock-ups, okay. All right, so that's all right. All right. Okay. This is really how a hiring manager is probably going to be looking at your portfolio. So,
That's very true. That's very true, because you have to think about like how much time we don't have.
yeah, exactly.
It's like we're gonna be skimming through stuff. So, what William was commenting on a second ago about the thumbnails and the title and the little blurb about each project on the homepage is really great, because it really introduces the project and part of the scope to a hiring manager or a person that's viewing your portfolio without them having to read through your case study to understand what the project is. And I see this, I don't want to call it a mistake, but I see this a lot where people really focus on just a thumbnail and maybe potentially just the title of the project for the introduction as a hook, when you could really utilize that section of their homepage to really introduce what you've done, more so than just a thumbnail or image of the project. You can take your case study, break it down into very simple bullet points, and add that to each mock-up or image introduction as what you did, what the impact and results were immediately. And that way a person can dive into your case study if they want to read more. But again, time is of the essence.
Lovely. No, I love that. I agree with every word there. I love this interactive feature though. This auto scroll feature. Wait, let me try it again. There you go. But the only thing
is that embedded?
Yeah, it's like, so
Nice.
I'm scrolling within the mobile, view, and it scrolls up, and it happened here as well. But the issue with this is my automatic reaction is, okay, if top and bottom scroll is working like this, then I expect side to side scroll to work, but that doesn't work that way. You see what I'm saying? So that's like a weird, I think I have to click on this in order for that to happen.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
So there's that there, but also there wasn't any explanation or kind of hand holding to let me know that, hey, I could scroll within, the mock-up to actually see the entire screen. So that's one thing. But I love this feature. You can really just hold your hand a little bit on that, and looks good. I like this. This is great, guys, for to be able to connect your other portfolio works. Have a reference link at the bottom of each one is always helpful. And as Kasey was saying, having that summary portion or summary feature of your portfolio is important, as well as a full detailed case study, right? Because even though some recruiters might not necessarily have the time to read every single word, some do, and some actually take the time to spend an hour on your portfolio digging in and finding every single right or wrong with your portfolio. So make sure you're speaking to who you're looking for, right? And just kind of keep those in mind. But it's definitely helpful to have a summary version where they can skim through, and then a full detailed version where they can take the time to look through. So that's about it, really. Just one and done. And then, okay, UX folio. I'm going to try to go back here. And all right, over to you, Kasey.
Yeah, I absolutely love the embedded prototype that you could scroll through, but I definitely agree with William about really bringing that to the service and letting visitors know that they can interact with those prototypes, embedded animations, etc. More like, it's really great to have those delightful experiences that you find sometimes by just happenstance, but that's not really what your portfolio should be about. It should be a place where you really draw in visitors and show them what you can do and what you have done.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want me to let me stop sharing so you can kind of rock and roll?
Yeah. Are we switching to me now? Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what I did was I opened a bunch of them, just randomly clicking down links, right? And I opened one that I don't remember. Her name is Jacqueline. I'm assuming it's not her. And I don't remember her last name. It's Jacqueline.design. Please raise your hand or comment in the chat if that is you. Jacqueline.design. That's the one I'm going to start off with. Sharing my screen. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to move these over. So I work on two monitors, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. Jacqueline Design. First of all, it's really great that I randomly clicked on this one because I also have Kasey Randall.design. So I like a domain that is similar to me. But again, it doesn't really matter as long as people can access your website someplace or, whatever. It could even be a Behance page, like whatever. Nice little introduction. I do like the negative space, soft shadows, the blue, like the dark-ish blue on white. It's really subtle. It's really clean. You don't see a lot of stylized typography anymore. You see a lot of like pop-ins from Roboto and Lato and like all those sans serif typefaces from Google. Thanks Google for those. But this is really nice and creative, and I like that. What do you think, Will?
I agree. I think, see, the thing about negative space is being able to use it. It's weird because I know I just said, I just mentioned that I did not really like how it was used on Brian's, but with this one, it's very subtle and very minimal, but it just kind of works very well, right? So there's really a balance in knowing how to use it, but little additions like the font type and the font style, as well as a little bit of color, definitely make a difference, right? But I don't know if the menu buttons are too small for accessibility. So that's something I'll just call out, but over to you.
Yeah. Yep. Jacqueline O'Conner, thank you for telling me who you are. I apologize. So I also I like the fact that it feels like it's branded. It feels like that J that really represents Jacqueline's brand, right? Like that's who she is, and a lot of designers don't necessarily have this a branded portfolio. So let's just scroll down into these projects, and right away, like they're very large presentations of mock-ups, and with a nice little hover on each one, and I do like the grid. I feel like I don't know. It's like I'm kind of torn. I'm torn between like, one, it's a really great way to present that initial hook, but it's also, are they too big, or is it maybe just my browser is really large right now because I'm on like a 4K monitor, so like that could be a problem. Let's just shrink it down to see. Let's just shrink it down to like close to a normal size. Okay, I mean I like how they're reactive, responsive to the browser width. It's really nice and clean. I think like what I mentioned earlier about having a little bit more about each project without having to dive into it is really beneficial. But there's a lot being, and this one's the only one screen, but there's a lot being shown on a few of these that I want to go for this 360 virtual reality experience. Okay, all right. So I know that's going to be a video, and it's going to be, all right.
Wow.
That's fun. That's fun. So I guess if you don't have this in a device like a Google, I have a Daydream View headset.
Yeah.
You won't get the full experience if you're not having inside of a headset on the phone. But at the same time, I've done videos like this before in the past, and you can click and drag it. Fast forward just a little bit so we can kind of see what's going on. Yeah. All right. So you can kind of like look around. So the whole felt like virtual reality and augmented reality is being able to interact with what they've created. I did a review recently on a portfolio that had a lot of static images of what they had created, but a lot of this is interactive. So virtual reality is like the epitome of interaction, that you're inside of an environment. So having this video that you can kind of click around and drag and look around is really nice. That's what I think.
I agree. No, that's a great touch. See, the thing is being memorable. So every UX designer is different, right? And whatever I did a post about not denying your past and embracing that and all that. So if you can find that uniqueness in your work or in your approach to design, and then add that touch to your portfolio, that makes you stand out, that makes you memorable. Because this VR experience, trust me, a hiring manager is going to remember that. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind 100%. As you're creating your case studies, etc.
100%. That little extra bit of work to make your portfolio stand out with those little interactions, embedded prototypes, click like interactive, VR experiences. Even though you're not wearing a headset, you can still click around. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I would definitely I didn't read anything before I saw this video. That's me, and it's also a lot of people, in our generation, is that like we don't want to read, we want to jump right in. This right here for an audience to interact with, I would definitely maybe make it a little bit more clear that you can. I knew to click and drag with it because I saw the icon on the right hand side. I knew exactly what that meant, but a lot of folks might not know what you can actually do with this video. So make that a little bit more clear. That's what I would say, that you can actually click and drag and play with it. But nice little setup. You're following the same nice typography, really clean, using that white space to break out sections. I do really like the scroll effect of fading in images. I feel like that's really fun. Not really, yeah, you're just looking at some more of the environment that you can see in VR, which is really cool. Awesome. Maybe it's a lot of those, maybe a little bit more like detail about like each room, or maybe a problem that you've experienced while like creating this experience, problem you had while creating this experience, and like a little bit more content as far as, oh, there we go. Results. Okay, cool. That's what I was looking for that.
Surprise. Yeah.
I just like those images just got me. I just passed right over it. Although, look, if you're going for a VR role position, I think this could play really well. Maybe just like captions for maybe each photo or something a little bit more like, I don't know. Maybe you don't have to do anything. Honestly, it's nice. What do you think, Will?
I think you're right. Even though it's not necessarily a UX portfolio, or a UX case study for this particular project, you definitely want to talk a little bit about format, not just for accessibility, but also, you don't want to separate the text from the photos in such a very large manner, right? Like you have, text up here, and then it's just photos before you have results. You kind of want to just break it up a little bit and insert some text throughout that process. The other thing too is, since this is, I'm trying to figure out what, this is a VR project, and so from our research, so you still use the, a design thinking approach, and, we went through a process of doing research, etc. That's beautiful. Your role was experience design. Oh, that was a design. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it was yeah,
you definitely want to add some more context to the photos, because I did not get that message, when we started scrolling. Yeah. I thought this was like a previous experience of working in VR, but yeah.
And and you know what? Something that I've seen too is that I'll comment on is usually like in case studies can end up being pretty long, right? As far as like the imagery, the text and copy, and there's maybe a lot of information that goes into them. It's really nice to pull from sections to kind of refresh the reader, especially if they're reading it from start to finish. Is that time? Oh shit. All right. Let's move on. Will, it's up to you, man. It's all yours.
Oh, okay. No, but great portfolio, Jacqueline. That's beautiful. Just get some more text, break it up a little bit. I think that'd be great. So, all right, over to me. Let me share my screen. And here we go. Boom. It definitely won't be enough time for every single one, but I think as we're going through it, just taking notes of some of the things that we're mentioning will be great, because there's gonna be something in there for everyone. Where's the chat? So that's an experience issue that is not working right. Okay, so Anupama Kumar. There you go. Boom. Feel like I killed it. So I hope I said that right. Do you want to raise your hand if you're here, just since we're humans and human interaction? Let's see who you are. Let me see if I can find you. Is your hands raised? Oh, there you are. Okay, hi. Nice to meet you. Okay, great. Cool. Okay, so let's rock and roll. About work contact, and then it auto loads on the work. Okay, and then you have your masonry layout, and cards, funkomy. See, this is what we were talking about. You know, having a little bit of text to go with what project is being looked at. It really helps to know just from an overview before the rollover effects, etc. It just helps a lot. So that's one plus. But once again, the wow factor here is not there for me. You know, I wasn't like, ooh, you know, you want to kind of get them there. So I don't know what you would do differently, but just knowing that as a designer, I'm sure you know your brain's gonna go thinking and you come up with something amazing. But just figure out what that wow factor would be. Nothing super crazy out of this world. Just catch my attention when I land on your portfolio, right? So that's the first one. Kasey, you wanna?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's about finding your own wow factor, right? It's about finding your own voice, creating your own story in a way, and that's not done overnight. Like William's probably been working on his portfolio for a long time. I've worked on worked on mine for the better part of 10 years. It's evolved over time. I've gone from platform to platform to, you know, from these free website builders to building it myself, you know, with my own hands and always having to make changes and always constantly working on it. It should reflect your evolution as a designer and as a human being too. The things that you learn over time, your style may change. You want to implement that into your website, so on and so forth. It's like, you're not gonna get that overnight, and don't feel pressure to try to, I gotta redesign my whole website tonight. Oh my God, from what they're saying. Don't do that. It's just, you're gonna find new things over time and you'll implement them in slowly over time. Just don't be a crazy person like me and obsess over your website. But I do recommend working on it. I do also love that. Is cart spelled wrong, or is it emphasizing the A and the R? Did you see that?
I think it's on purpose for AR, because I see this icon.
Oh, augmented reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, I like that. But I know I agree with everything Kasey's saying. I love the iconography here. I wonder if, okay, so this is a video style. All right. See, the thing with this though is, and I'll mention this, guys. So even though the wow factor wasn't there, I was still curious to find out, hey, what this is about, or what this other project is about. So there is the wow factor that we're talking about, and there's also the simplicity or usability of your site, or clarity, right? Just easy to understand and easy to navigate. So Anupama has that here, where it's easy to navigate, like click, go in and find out more, right? If the recruiter is like, okay, well, it's a portfolio, it's basic, I don't care about wow factor, I want to see your skills. They can still click in and then find it. So keep that in mind. Details matter. And one thing I'll point out, we're going to point out the tiniest things, and it's just feedback. But this bothers me so much right here. Like,
me too.
I know it's hard and it's difficult to create, these video prototypes, but if you're going to do it, you have to meet that bar. You have to, set that bar up there. So yeah, let's see if you can redo this one. You have to redo just to get rid of that, and use a better frame or mock-up for that if you can.
Yeah, try to fit that inside of an iPhone 10 mock-up.
Yeah. It's gonna change the look dramatically. I mean, it's crazy how much this stuff really affects everything. But great,
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, that little extra oomph could be, and this is an idea and a thought, that you could take that embedded prototype you're working on right now and put that as the project introduction on the homepage. that potentially could be that little extra
wow factor.
bump, that little wow factor.
Yep.
You know, just a thought. You know, the use case introduction doesn't have to be a static image with a title. It can be this interactive experience and then dive into the case study.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, this is beautiful work. This is beautiful work. Honestly, like I love your user typography, your spacing, your pixelation, maybe not on that modal pop-up, but on the other panels. But you get me, like, it's nicely done, and good stuff there. Yeah. Someone is raising their hand. Is that for a question or? I think we're gonna do AMAs afterwards, right, Felix? You wanna chime in on that? Oh,
yeah, so we will have a question afterwards. So we can just all take down notes and take down our questions. And after reviewing the portfolio at the end, there will be a Q&A session where we can come in and ask questions.
Okay, sweet. Hey, this is great work, Anupama. Beautiful use of design work, visual design work. I love it. And then I don't know about this icon, but I love the interface up there. This is great, easy to understand. And I love your details. I love to read. All of a sudden, I didn't really like to read when I was growing up, but now I do. So I love the content. It's exciting to me. And you can still skim through. See, the thing is, you can still skim through and pick up on what what the content is really emphasizing. And I think that's also useful and helpful and very organized. Oh, there's more. Boom, boom. There's more. It keeps going and going. See, give them, look, if you can organize your case studies in such a way that, yes, it's more information, but it's appealing and pleasant to look at, you could capture a recruiter to spend a lot of time on your portfolio, just scrolling and going through, case studies upon case studies and interface upon interfaces before they realize they've spent like a lot of time on it and all they can think about is you. So use every tool you can to your own, for your own advantage. I think there's, more is good. If you have great work, why not? But just your delivery matters, right, Kasey?
100%, absolutely. It's content delivery, and this case study is so insightful, and it's full of just a nice balance of the copy and the imagery to really back that up. I also, do me a favor, Will, can you scroll all the way to the bottom of this case study and see if there is some type of retrospective? Oh, those edges they gotta go.
Those need to go. These guys,
they need to go. Figure out how to, I was like, take the extra time to figure out.
Like, this is beautiful right here. This is what you should stick with.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
These. Anyway, you wanted to see something?
Yeah, if you don't mind scrolling down to the bottom real quick, just to see if they've got a retrospective or furthering notes.
No, not that I can see. Well,
lessons learned. There we go.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't see it often, but everything's relative. But I do love the retrospective and lessons learned of case studies, or just a portfolio in general. It's like what you could do differently, because coming on to, let's say, for example, SiriusXM, I would love to know what you would do when I would present you a problem.
Yeah.
Right? If this problem is similar to something you've dealt with before, what would you actually do differently? And it also makes sense that you're willing to learn from your mistakes, and learn from your experiences doing stuff, right?
Yeah. No, I love it. I agree. One thing I just noticed is your H1 headers are not very noticeable, and I feel like maybe adding some color there could differentiate each section to know what we're looking at, because it just kind of it's just kind of combined and it's not really separated. At least for this, for this lessons learned part, I didn't really notice that until I was looking hard. So keep that in mind. But all right, I'm done. Over to you.
All right, so I've got somebody that I'm really excited about, actually. I'm excited about all of you. I'm excited about all of you. But I'm gonna share my screen. Can you guys see?
Yeah.
All right, great. So I found a UI developer and UX designer. I feel like, because I know how to write front end code, not heavily, but I had to learn that basically early on to basically build what we had to style what we designed. Anyway, super excited about this one. And it's also dark. We saw so much white space before, and now it's like the opposite. Now it's like, excellent. This is, please forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but it's Minal Jacqueline. All right, forgive me. Absolutely love the dark, like it's the dark theme, right? Because I don't see it too often. My portfolio isn't dark at all, but I do love this, how the header here, the introduction is it's rewriting itself, right? It's not just like fading in and out. What's up?
I don't think you see your screen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's
now we do. Yeah.
Kasey, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, we can see it now, Kasey.
Oh, I swear, this is just all kinds of problems tonight. This is two cocktails in, y'all. Forgive me. So, so we've got an introduction like we see in most portfolios, which is really nice. But this one uses, a little bit of like how it's rewriting that. It's rewriting that introduction, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm just gonna scroll down to the work. I love rounded corners, guys. I'm a huge fan of rounded corners. Rigidness to me is aggressive. It's not friendly. It's not inviting. It's not fun. No, it's super stylish right now in 2020, but rounded corners are where it's at. All right, so this portfolio is going to be a UX design and UI developer portfolio. So it's going to be a little bit different, I think, from what we've seen so far. How come your header menu is using a different font? Huh, I don't know. Okay, so recent work. Let me just dive into this case study here. Oh, we switched to a light theme. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Something has to be said about consistency.
I know you got something there. I agree with Kasey, but I don't know what. I just,
Yeah.
This is definitely wow factor though. Like I'm like, oh, tell me more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's engaging, right? Like that way to engage your visitor or a hiring manager, or even when you are presenting your portfolio to a team in an interview, right? How do you interact with your own work to tell that story during the interview session? Are you gonna do the exact same things that we're doing right now? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say use a little bit more space. I feel like it's a nice, like versus the last one we just looked at, right? The header sizes it helps break it up, but the spacing is minimal. So things start to blend together in a way that it just doesn't, like that white space comes in handy when it helps elements breathe, right? It gives organization to a page. Not too much white space, not too much space between elements, but more than this, they start to stack on top of each other and they bleed together. So definitely recommend that. Damn. So ideas like this, storyboarding is nice. All right, very cool. Link to prototype, XD, thank you for that. Okay, that's very nice. Yeah, it's really great to link a prototype to your work. It's awesome. What do you think, William? I'm kind of skimming through this in a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, I think my internet just went in and out. Can you hear me? Okay, sweet. I agree with the negative space and being able to use that canvas a little bit more. Definitely agree with that. But I love the colors. It's very engaging. The headers are noticeable and you can kind of tell the difference. I love how simple it is and easy to understand and comprehend, right? It's like understanding the problems, observations, boom. Here's a little text to go with it, right? I wonder if it's too small. Once again, with the fonts, guys, keep in mind when you're, if you want to do an inspect element there, see
16.
16.
Yeah.
So maybe,
we got to keep in mind that this is a larger resolution.
Yeah.
Than most. Yeah.
16 is a good font. But yeah, anyway, if the font's not a problem, but for everybody else, just keep that in mind. I know my portfolio has like probably 14, just because I wanted to go for that. There's something about a smaller font is just, it just really creates this look and feel, but you always want to be conscious of readability. But it's easy to understand and I can follow through. I love it. Great work. Yeah.
Yep. I would also, I'm going to bounce off what William just said about fonts and body. It's actually it's best practice to keep your paragraph length shorter, because we don't necessarily like to read like a long line, right? So shrinking up those body fonts a bit helps them read sentences faster. Mm-hmm. There's some research behind that, but I don't want to get into it. So these really long lines, definitely try to shrink them up a little bit as far as width goes.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, William, over to you, buddy. Great job, by the way. Great job.
Great job. Yeah, definitely. All right, so share, continue, share my screen. Can you see? We're good to go. I love this portfolio. When I opened it up, I was like, whoa, okay, great, And then I saw this and I was like, no, but I don't know if this can go. That's just me. So Panhand, great portfolio. I have my window minimized, but I know you're in here. I love the font style, and the typography, the space. This is pleasant to look at, right? I love the language translator. That is a nice touch, guys. Anything you can do to, add a nice touch to your portfolio, those little moments of delight is very important, and it's appreciated, right? Because that's what's going to set you apart. We don't want to tell you exactly what to do, like, oh, you need to have a translator, you need to have, a slide-in text or change it. It's just get creative and be true to you, and then add that touch that's unique to you, right? Because you got all the creative, juices flowing, and you're the only one who can do it. So, but whoa, look at this, Kasey.
Whoa, see that little wow factor of interaction, right? Oh,
yeah,
I like that.
I was like, we both said whoa. You see what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to convey, guys. It's hard to kind of get some of this stuff out, but we hope that as we're interacting with these portfolios, you're already kind of taking notes and picking things out, some of our reactions. It's all natural firsthand, right? But emails right here, let's work, like, okay, let's work, Panhand, let's do it.
Yep.
This is different than what we've seen. Like the full layout and with that towel, that's different, but I do appreciate it. I love that, that creative mock-up and, with the highlight on the first one. This is beautiful. This is very pleasant to look at.
I like how he's using that figure of the dot grid consistently through his projects, not only through the website itself.
Yeah, there's thought behind this, just like every other one. But it's just, there's something about following through and telling a story, right? And then holding the user's hand. I love it. I want to see more of this project. So let's see. Your font style, this is very pleasant. The colors, that color selection is very pleasant as well.
Oh yeah, that dark blue. Yeah.
Orangey looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are tiny details that only a hiring manager or design lead will notice and say, you know what, this guy's got a good eye for design.
It's purposeful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It looks like Ubuntu, that font choice. Which is, if it is, that's a pretty bold choice. Yeah, it's a hard one to work with. It's a really nice, it's clean, and I do like that it's a darker bluish purple versus like black, because black against white is, let's see what it is. I'm curious now.
Let's see.
I would always recommend, if you're designing like black on white, do a little bit of like an off black, not necessarily 000.
Yeah, no, you definitely, yeah, you're right.
Ubuntu. Oh, nailed
Casey
it.
knows this stuff, man. That was a good one.
Hell yeah. It's a good one.
But yeah, guys, so you got to know your typography. You got to know your elements, your colors, not like go learn them, but just, these are things that make you, that increases your employee value, right? And I was talking to a colleague about this today. Like, your employee value, you need to be valuable. You need to be knowledgeable about your craft, because it's going to help you, with your career, right? But I love this scroll function or feature, just some kind of, interaction detail. It adds a nice touch to it. These are great. These are, boom, the dark theme. I've never seen this, actually.
Yeah, a lot of UI design, but I didn't see too much content backing up the process of creating that solution. And again, maybe it doesn't need it. I didn't really read it, but
you're right.
About like what was, there's a role there, but like what was some of the problems that they experienced during building the solution, some of the results, etc. So something a little bit more contextual as far as information goes.
Yeah, no, I agree. See, interestingly, I got caught up with the look and feel, and I forgot about text. Just kind of noticing what just happened before you brought it up, and now I'm like, oh yeah, where's all the text?
Right.
So,
right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I feel like, as you're saying, the visual design definitely caught my attention. I'm in it, but you have to give me more, right? So maybe this could be that summarized version, and then at the bottom you could say, click here to view full case study or something, where you get into the details, show me the wireframe, show me the process, etc. Right? Those are some thoughts. But all right, great. Over to you, Kasey. Let's go. So we can
I think we're jumping in the Q&A, Felix.
Okay, we are. All right.
All right. Awesome stuff, Kasey and William. I was just taking down a lot of notes on a lot of things. I think it's really been incredible stuff. Kasey and William, you guys really know your design work, so that's super amazing, right? So right now we will be jumping into a Q&A session where it's sort of like coffee hours style, where anyone can jump in, unmute yourself. So Wendy has given all of you the permission to unmute yourself, but let's do that in a very organized manner. So maybe someone can unmute themselves first and say that I have a question, raise your hand, and Kasey and William will jump in and answer that. And for the rest of you, just continue to mute yourself and listen. And then once the question is up, you guys can jump in for the next question, right? So any first takers?
Can I take
Don't be shy.
All right. I see that Sherry has the first question. Go for it, Sherry.
Hey. So I think even though I'm a product designer, but I have a lot of like other non-UI UX work. How do you feel in terms of like incorporate some other non-UI UX design work to be more like a generalist, but still as a product designer and looking for a UI UX job?
What's your other experience?
So like branding, packaging, just like graphic design in general. Yeah, but
That's
still,
like yeah. Go ahead.
But it's still being treated as like a case study way. So you still have processing along the way, or like VR, those kind of things. So not necessarily just as web or app design, but more as just your thinking process, basically. Does that make sense?
Is that how do you bring that into your UX portfolio or your UX world? How many years of UX do you currently have? And the reason why I ask is because it's different from saying, hey, how do I talk about my past work in my portfolio, right? And then also saying, how do I translate what I've learned over? I think graphic design is the number one, industry or career to move into UX design. There's really like huge overlap there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I came from. I mean, I got a
too.
minor in graphic design in college, right? And we found our way into more digital design, which became UI, UX, and the full digital product design, right? I think it's like definitely something to be really proud of the work that you've done in the past, bringing that into your UX portfolio. I had a review recently with a guy who had done a lot of like design work around the fashion industry, which is really interesting, how he would design, create these presentations or the things you if you walk by like Louis Vuitton, the presentation of products out, he would create some stuff like that similarly, right? So now he's in the UX and he's working on his portfolio. So how does he bring that into his UX, his resume or his portfolio? But it's about how you think of a problem or how do you handle, how do you work with other people? How do you work with product folk, clients, development, and talk to those stories, right? And tell that story in a way that presents you in the best light, or putting your best foot forward that you can. Everything that you've done before leads up to it. This is why we're in UX. We're problem solvers, whether you're an accountant, a painter, or not a real designer, but like a graphic designer beforehand. Everything is relative. Everything flows back into problem solving and talking about how your product design solves some problems along the way for a specific client, or having results on customers, et cetera, et cetera. I can just keep going, but I'm gonna stop.
No, that's great. I think yeah, just being able to talk about whatever your past experience is in your problem solving light, right? Being able to bring some light to that and your process will help your UX career, right? And you can also have a part, maybe a menu item on your portfolio that says past work or past graphic experience or something that lets the hiring manager know what they're looking at, because you don't want somebody thinking they're looking for UX work and then looking on your portfolio, seeing graphic design work, they're going to X out and exit, right? So just knowing how to separate the two. But yeah, very useful. Here, there's another question here that I think we should take. If one doesn't have strong visuals or graphic design skills, is it possible to structure an attractive portfolio? Casey.
Say that one more time for me, please.
If one doesn't have strong visuals or graphic design skills, is it possible to structure an attractive portfolio?
Oh, hell yeah. Like, that is an opportunity for you to learn the basics of layout, structure, grid system, the basics, the bare bones, the skeleton of the web, and how to structure things. I always recommend keeping shit simple. Start black and white. Don't add any styling. Don't add any awesome gradients. Don't add rounded corners. Just get things on a page, arrange it that it's just there's no flair. That's how you start off, right? Because you want to get things on a page. It's like writing an essay. You're gonna get all your ideas down, write all that shit down, and then go back and edit it, right? Keep it simple, keep it short and sweet. And again, just go look at people's websites, be inspired by other things that you see. Go to Dribbble and find what people are doing. Keep it simple. Follow best practices. Those best practices, it's not like you have to learn those in a classroom. They're all over the web. Go to YouTube. All these free resources we have out in the world now. I mean, it's how I've taught myself over the years. Like, just Google it, right? Like, whatever you need to know, Google it. You'll find the answers, I promise you. I really recommend, again, keeping it super duper simple. You don't need wham bam visual experience if you're going to become a user experience designer, because they are almost two different things in a way. UX is the solving problems. Visual design is adding that higher fidelity of look, feel, and interaction on top of those solutions. And also, visual design is a learned skill. You can get better at it.
I agree. It's a learned skill, and you definitely don't want to rule yourself out and think that you're not capable. You can learn it, but I do understand if you're thinking of, hey, it's not something I'm passionate about, and you just want to stick with maybe the experience design, you know, by itself. But I wonder what kind of direction are you looking to go into? Because with UX design, the visuals matter a lot. Unless you're in a huge company that has experienced designers and has interface designers, right? So then you have the two where you won't need the visual design skills, but your portfolio is still going to have to speak to the hiring manager. So, you know, another thing which might be a wild thought is, what if you get help? You know, like if you have a nice network, you could get help with getting some of, you know, getting your portfolio fine-tuned, right, to be presentable. There's no harm in being able to ask for help. We're not well, I'm a front-end developer. Kasey's a front-end development background, but not all of us have front-end development, right? So if you need like a code to create that interaction in that, you know, laptop mock-up, you can reach out to a developer, programmer friend in your network and say, hey, I need help with this, right? So feel free to ask for help for things like that you're not good at. And I think that's a great way to really bring all those ingredients together.
100%. Lean, like know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and reach out to people when you need help. I mean, we're not alone in this. We have a huge community, especially because of things like Amazing Nine People List. Like, thank you, Felix, for putting that together. We have an entire community that you can lean on and reach out to when you need things like that. And also be inspired by things you find in the wild too. Like my resume is inspired by like the Yahoo CEO's resume. Like it's really interesting, the things you find over time and you bring into your own work, like I mentioned before.
Yeah, I use this in my mentor, you know, portfolio review sessions a lot. There was a portfolio I saw of the director of design at Expedia, and she previously worked at Apple and anyway, you know, large companies, right? So I saw that portfolio and I'm like, wow, it's really simple, but it was just highlights on highlights. She cut out all the gibberish and just focused on the highlights and broke down the process, but still focused on the highlights. And that's one that I use as a reference. Talk portfolios like, hey, this is actually, you know what I'm talking about. I'll find it and I'll post it in the links. But oh, one more question. You have to raise your hands according to the moderators. So
yeah, so those who has questions, you know, just feel free to raise your hands and then we'll call you out. So Brian, you want to come in and unmute yourself?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, awesome. Kasey and William, first off, I want to thank you so much for your time. Felix, thank you for putting this together so we can all gather and talk about this. My question for you guys is a little bit more broad. So I've been in UX only for a couple of years now out of college. But these days I'm seeing like the way I was taught before was UX design is always focused more on the users, right? Like you want to get what the users want. You want to focus on the user goals. But recently what I've come to discover is that, especially after working in a couple of years for a business, is that UX design is more about, at least in the corporate setting, typically more about balancing user goals as well as business needs, right? But at times, balancing the two can be really tricky because it could be, like the management team wants to put it in this really crappy banner on this really important area, and you're like, well, no, that's a terrible idea because it's going to ruin the user experience, and no one's going to give a shit about that. But if people are really adamant about that, and it's not really up to your call, sometimes you have to find a way to like balance between the two, right? So I guess I just want to get your input on it. Like, how do you go about finding a balance between solving for the users and for the business needs? Like, is it time to push back sometimes, or is it time to just explore other options where it's a hybrid of both? Just want to get your input on that. Thanks.
It has to be. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was waiting for you to start.
I'm like, it has to be a hybrid of the both. You need to keep your job, and that's the reality of what we do. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, we love our users. We want to fight for them, but we need our jobs, and the businesses need to meet their goals in order for us to have jobs. I'm also going to qualify that by saying, yes, our focus is still the user, but that balance is important and it's necessary. And that is why we have jobs. That is why we have roles, right? Where we have that skill and that ability to combine the two. And we all do. It's just a matter of using that same process, that same, sticky notes, empathy maps, affinity maps, and, that whole process to really dig deeper and create that merger, that, marriage that we're looking for. So that would be my first thought. Kasey, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. It's compromise. No, A, keep your job. B, make people happy. And that could be the user, that could be the business, that could be product, that could be development. There is major compromise to find in every vertical. And is a hybrid. Usually most solutions are a hybrid of both good user experience and making hitting those business goals, right? Because again, if you work at a company like SiriusXM and the Home Depot, you have to make people money. That's just how life, I'm sorry guys, that's just how it goes. So it's sometimes it's really tough, and sometimes you really have to push back on things that which hill you're gonna die on, right? Like what is really necessary to push back on, but could you not push back here and win this battle elsewhere, right? Get another solution in there that you've been working on. Like I've been redesigning the sports on SiriusXM.com, and I don't know anything about sports. I don't watch sports. I'm a huge nerd. I mean, I watch my Saints, but that's basically it. But I had to learn a lot about sports, and also at 6 months at SiriusXM, it's a huge multi-billion-dollar company, very similar to Home Depot, right? Like there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people, a lot of votes. It's like designed by committee sometimes, if not all the time. It's finding that balance between what does a business want to do and how can we please them while also like being very strategic about which battles we're really going to fight for. And for the sports thing, I was able to fight for a secondary navigation to get to sports schedules much faster and easier than how they wanted to originally. But I also had to make some other compromises that I didn't agree with personally that weren't creating a good experience. So pick your battles, be strategic.
Awesome. Yeah, so I gotta jump in and to say something before we go to the next question. Balancing business goals and user goals are usually the top priority as a designer, because you're seeing something from both stakeholders' perspective, and it doesn't make sense if you're just building for your users, because at the end of the day, a business is a business, and you have to understand that a business is here to exist to serve these people. So in a sense, as a designer, you have the responsibility to serve both the business and the users, and try to find that very fine balance between both, right? So that's my take on that. So let's move on to the next question from Minal J. I hope that I got your name correctly. Minal, do you want to come in and ask your question? You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Felix. So I want to thank Kasey and William for reviewing my portfolio. Appreciate your review. So like you could see, my title is UX designer and UI developer. So I just wanted to know if I'm applying for UX design roles and still want to keep my development background intact, since I'll be doing UI development as well. Will there be a problem when I apply for the design roles because of that?
So I have a front-end development background, right? Which is like UI development background. And so does Kasey. The thing is, and take this with a grain of salt, you kind of have to decide on which direction you want to go in. Now, it's not a bad thing that you have development background, but if you decide to go in development, your UI design background or skill is going to be beneficial, and it's going to set you apart from the competition. So it's good. And if you decide to go into UI design, your development background is going to set you apart from the competition. So it's also good. So you are in a great position, but the thing is you have to decide which direction you want to go in, and then let your portfolio reflect that. So it would be more of a design portfolio, and then you also shed light on, hey, I have development background, right? And these are my development case studies, and this is what I did, etc. You always want to kind of, add more of your additional skills to the plate, but you got to decide which direction you're going. Otherwise, if you do UI designer and developer, recruiters just don't know how to place you, right? And they might, it goes against you because you're not fully developing your designer portfolio or your development portfolio. You're doing 50-50, and it's just never enough.
Right. So you're suggesting that I should keep the title as UX designer and just show my development skills in the resume or something like that?
No. So if you want to go into design, you could say, like title UX designer, but also add it on there, emphasize it like you have development background. And then recruiters are going to ask you, because they ask us all the time, well, why is that important? And then you say, well, because that, for me, my answer is because I understand how the backend systems interact with the front end design. And therefore, the interfaces that I'm going to create are going to translate very well into development when I'm handing over deliverables, right? So that's why I stand out from the crowd, and that's what makes me the right candidate for this job, because I understand how these systems work and programs, right, Kasey?
That's right. Yeah, the communication, creating that communication bridge between design and development, right? You'll understand that a lot more than other people will, and it's imperative because what we create has to be built, and what is built needs to be reviewed from design. But so you're able to again create that bridge of communication. Speak their language and help. Like, I can't tell you how many conversations I've been with engineers who don't necessarily understand the language of user experience design, or this design in general. So sitting next to engineers and learning how to again build what we designed back in the day really helped me understand that language, right? And it helped open a lot of doors. And so on and so forth. So definitely, like, again, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, go for it.
It's a plus. So sell it.
Definitely a plus. Sell that shit.
Yeah.
Sell that shit.
Just adding
Zoe?
to that, sorry, just one last thing. While you were reviewing my portfolio, you mentioned about the consistency from shifting black to white during the case studies. So I'm a big hoarder for black theme and dark theme websites, but somehow I feel that case study being in black won't seem that good. So do you suggest like changing the complete theme or that?
What was the last part of that? I'm sorry.
To avoid the transitioning from dark theme to lighter theme during the case study, would you suggest me keeping the dark theme throughout the website?
Ooh, William, I know you're gonna jump in.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a preference thing. That would be up to you to make that creative decision. I actually enjoyed it because it was a surprise. So it was like a wow factor to me where I was like, whoa, right? It made me kind of, oh, okay. And then I appreciated that. So I can't tell you that, okay, it's either, a no or, nay or yay, because I feel like there's something there. So I'll leave that decision to you to just figure out, do you want to keep it or not? But I think for me, I was surprised and I appreciated that little surprise. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. Let's take last two questions. I think we got to speed this up for everyone. So Zoe, you're up next.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, thank you, William and Kasey, for this wonderful session. Actually, I have a follow-up question for Brian's question in terms of balancing the business side and user side. I know it's important, and thanks for giving those valuable insights, but actually, I want to take a step back that I'm still a design student, and I noticed there's a huge gap between those projects we did in school versus the actual client or actual projects in the workplaces. For those student or side or passion projects, we don't actually talk about the business that much. And I feel like a lot of the time we don't have enough of resource to look into this issue. So do you guys have any suggestions for people who don't have a job at this point? How can they also consider the business side and take that in consideration into their case studies or portfolio in the future?
Look, guys, everybody, or if you find this question useful, write this down. Here's my best advice for you. Start supporting startups or charities while you're looking or while you're in your free time. This is very important because you will get that business side, and then you might come up with some equity, which is like crazy. If you had like 10% equity, well, maybe not 10%, 2% equity in Uber, you know, because they'll get you like 2%, right? Like, hey, do our UX for us and we'll give you 2%. And then 10 years down the road, it becomes $1 billion company. You just cashed out. It's important to get that business side, but you can't just get a job because you have, you know, zero experience and it kind of goes against you. I get that, but angel.co is Angel List. Google Angel List or type in angel.co. It's the startup, the LinkedIn for startups. There are investments happening on there. There are, you know, deals being made. You can find jobs. You can find, you know, new startups, etc. That's where you find these startups, right? Local, remote, whatever, and then start working for them. They will, you know, take you through the right business process. They will fight with you and argue with you. You'd have to defend your work, your direction, all of that. And then also charities. Support some charities. They're real businesses that will come back and push back, etc. So you get that experience, and then you can write about that or talk about it in your interviews. Kasey.
Yeah, 100%. Gonna bounce off that real quick. A lot of folks are afraid to do free work. I'm gonna put this in quotations. That free work can not only, if it's managed appropriately, it can not only in future revenue down the line, based on the relationships that you create with these people and clients, but it can also give you a shit ton of experience really quickly.
Yeah.
Easy.
Awesome. So I'm going to add something here before we jump in the next question. Is that something that I've learned earlier in my days as a designer is that, you know, you want to be able to reach out to products that are already out in market. For example, like, you know, go for startups, especially because these people, they reply to emails. If you're going to reach out to someone from Facebook and, you know, they might probably not reply because they're super busy with their day-to-day meetings, right? But the fact that if you reach out to startup founders and they say, hey, I saw your product on Product Hunt, or I saw a product on a certain website, and I think that there's a certain point that you can improve, right? Can I come in to help you do some UI work for free or UX work for free? And you know, just as a case study, right? So that's a really effective method to just put yourself out there. It doesn't have to always involve money. It could be like a 1 week kind of sprint. As long as you put yourself out there, collaborate with someone, and, you know, think about how you can help them improve the product. So that's my point of view, right? Just feel free to take notes on that. All right, so yeah, let's move on to the next question. This has to be the last question because we ran out of time. So Matt, you want to come in, Matt?
Yeah, I do. Hey, thank you very much for answering these questions and taking the time to do that. My question's a little bit broad. So I was thinking about the tactical kind of submitting your portfolio and getting noticed when you go into a job portal, right? You've been talking a lot about, you know, the portfolio getting noticed and all of those things. And like, you know, I'll be on LinkedIn and I will see that like Microsoft has 200 applicants to this product designer job, you know, and I'll think I'm a shoo-in for it. But then, you know, I get a rejection and I'm like, oh man, did they not notice me? Because there was 200 other designers they had to look at, you know? So when you guys are looking at portfolios, I wonder if you could shine some light on, you know, are you always picking the first round? You know, is it a recruiter who's doing that? And also, have you ever considered someone's portfolio because they've been recommended to you?
Kasey, you want to start that?
Oh man, that is there. I don't think there's a right answer to that, to be honest. I think it's a circumstance. You know, of course I'm gonna look closer or firstly at folks that I know in a way, right, or have been recommended to me, of course. However, bigger companies do have recruiters or sourcers, so they're able to really vet through those 200 applicants. And sometimes they miss things that we could really leverage, we could really use, and like a SiriusXM. So if we're hiring certain roles, right now we're on hiring freeze. I apologize, it's COVID. I apologize. It's a whole thing. But if it's somebody that I know who is talented, who's looking, who's ambitious, who's, you know, not necessarily experienced, but just really willing to learn, my directors are going to want to know who that person is. I can make that introduction internally without even hitting a recruiter or a sourcer at SiriusXM. It is about who you know in this world. I hate to say that. It's about who you know. But also, you know, a part of that is also creating those relationships online with people too. And William, I don't mean to keep talking, stealing your thunder, but I had one of the best experiences ever. I did this political dinner discussion discourse thing 2 years ago, and I created this the DC's first branch of this group from San Francisco. And this guy reached out to me on LinkedIn to thank me for my work that I had done for the group and the dinner and blah, blah, blah. And I had no idea who this guy was. And lo and behold, he was a product design manager at Facebook. And he was also the husband of the lady who started the group. And I was like, hey man, do you have an hour so I can pick your brain on product design? And he was like, hell yeah, bro, let's do this. So him and I are great friends now. He put my name into a hat at Facebook, and I've been getting recruiter calls all the time from them. So relationships.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's beautifully said. Like, yeah, yes, it's true that there's a recruiter, there's a gatekeeper who's skimming through their portfolios, right? That needs to kind of sift through it. And keywords are a factor. It's horrible, but that's the process because of so they're using algorithms, etc. It sucks. But if you are able to build a real human connection with people, now, not necessarily reaching out and saying, hey, I applied to this job. I get that a lot. And I'm sure, we all do. Like, hey, I applied to a role at Home Depot. Can you send me a referral? Or can you, put in a reference for me? I don't know you. I can't, refer you that instantly. But what you can do is, since maybe you're planning to do that, or just in general, network with a bunch of people. Like, let that be your strategy, just to build a huge network, because someone will be useful someday. And then that's how, when an opportunity comes, that you can kind of see, oh, I know this person here. And in that way, I'm going to reach out to them and, say, but you build that relationship first. Like, reach out to them, just say, hey, just want to, chit chat for 10 minutes, just pick your brain on product design or UX design. I've had those messages, and I can't really say no to that if they're like, I just need 5 minutes just to ask you a quick question about UX, like, or your role at Home Depot. And they don't necessarily ask me, hey, they're just say, what's the culture there? And then I can talk about it a little bit, and then that's it, right? But then later on, we've established that first, acquaintance level, relationship. So then they start interacting with my posts, they start, sharing ideas and opinions, and then a relationship is formed, right? And then as opportunities come, but not just that, after the relationship is formed, they're also leaving breadcrumbs on their profile. They're interacting with other posts. They're sharing opinions. They're being a part of the community. So when an opportunity comes, they're on your mind, or it's easier for you to think of that person, and then say, hey, like, are you interested in this or that, right? But leave breadcrumbs. What was I saying? And relationships. And yes, algorithms suck, but that's what happens. And it's not necessarily personal. Still push through that. Also, set alerts on job sites so that you get it first, right? So that you could get in, like, literally on your phone. Microsoft just posted a job, and then even if you're driving, pull over, get on there, and submit your resume. This stuff is serious business, guys. Like, you gotta breathe, because you could get in first, right? And that would help. All right, Felix, I'm done.
Awesome. All right. Thank you both for the amazing tips. Just to add on, Matt, so one of the, so I know people that work at big companies like, Facebook and Google. I mean, one of the things is that if you're a first-time designer, or you just graduated from college, or you just graduated from like a boot camp or whatever that is, right? Try to go for internships first at this big company, right? Because they usually convert from internships to full-time. And it is very unlikely without a referral. If you want to get a full-time role right away without an internship, it is pretty unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the chances are higher if you go for internships, except for Apple. So I know the guys at Apple, pretty close to some of them that works there as a designer. And Apple, they might have an internship for you, but chances are they are likely not to convert their interns to full-timers. So this is just a tip for everyone who wants to be at Apple, right? They don't want to convert interns to full-timers. Reason being that they believe that these interns should go out there in the world to explore more opportunities before they come back as a full-timer again at Apple. So that's their policy there. I'm just putting out here just so that if anyone is keen in Apple, because I know that Apple is one of the best design companies out there. So yeah, that's a tip for all of you. Right, so we have reached the end. I want to say thank you to Kasey and William for being up here tonight with us, morning as well for some of us here today. So thank you both so much for your time and effort. We really all appreciate that.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Thank you both. Right,
you guys for putting this up. You guys are awesome, Felix and Wendy. And,
you both of you are doing amazing work at the Mentors community and at ADP List itself. Right, so I look forward to see the both of you guys again if you guys are joining the Mentors Meet this weekend. Right, so to wrap things up, this ADP List Coffee Hours will be happening every bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, there will be mentors coming in to help with portfolio, to help with questions. So feel free to join in. We'll be posting on our LinkedIn. So do follow us on our LinkedIn, on ADP List. And lastly, I want to say something, pretty unrelated to this event, but I think as humans, this is a very crazy time for all of us. We have COVID-19, we have, the protests, and everything that's going on around the world. I hope all of you are safe, well, staying positive. So whatever that you have learned here, feel free to spread the message out on your LinkedIn so that more people can learn. And I think by doing that, what we're doing here is that we're spreading a lot of hope and positivity within the community itself, right? So that really goes a long way in supporting one another. For example, what we're having here today, right? So do share them with your friends, and feel free to hop on anytime. Reach out to Kasey and William for anything, for any questions that you guys have, right? So before we end this off, just a call to action. There's a lot of mentors as well that you can reach out on the Amazing Design People List. So go there, check out the other mentors as well. Kasey and William, they're there as well for you to book, but please do not, overbook them. They're very busy people, right? So yeah, before we end this off, for those of you who are not on your camera yet, do switch on your camera, because this is going to be the selfie moment where we're going to take a selfie together before we end the call.
Let's do this, everyone. Let's do this.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn on the screen. So those of you who are not on camera, please turn on your camera, strike a pose. I'll count to 3, and then we'll.
Unless you're not decent. Yeah, unless you're not decent, don't turn your camera, please.
Yeah.
Please be wearing clothes. Nothing like that, please.
Yeah, please be wearing clothes, all right? All right. 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hold on. Let me just. Okay, you guys got to stop commenting because the comment pop-up just keeps coming up. So please stop commenting, all right? 3, 2. Okay, someone just comment again. Okay, chill. All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next page because there's a second page as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And the last page, we have 3 pages. All right. And 1, 2, 3. All right, awesome. Thank you all.
There's so many of you.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is like the biggest turnout, right? So thank you all for joining today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next session. Thank you. Thanks,
William.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Peace. Good night.
Good night.